Hundreds of sea lions are dying along the California coast. It's due to some acid poisoning. And to explain what's going on here, we are joined now by Sam Dover. He's from the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute. Sam, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Good to be here.
So what's this acid that's killing these sea lions?
Well, domoic acid is a neurotoxin that's produced by an algae called Pseudonischa. And it's a common algae, and sometimes it produces a toxin and sometimes it doesn't. Animals that eat that algae, such as shellfish, sardines, anchovies, filter-feeding fish, and even clams and oysters, as well as crabs, they can ingest that algae that contains the toxin, but it doesn't really affect that individual. What happens then is the larger animals, such as the marine mammals, including sea lions and dolphins, but mostly sea lions, and occasionally seabirds as well that eat that same type of fish, the anchovies and sardines, they then accumulate the toxin in their body and then cause serious clinical signs.
How does the acid start to begin with? How does it start to develop in the water?
Well, the algae's there frequently, but it doesn't always contain the toxin. There's actually a group that runs that does surveys to understand the levels of toxin. So we can sometimes see it coming, but not always. How does it get there? Well, it's naturally occurring, but nobody really knows exactly why this one occurs. There's many what they call harmful algae blooms that occur all over the world. This is just one example.
So what are the symptoms that the sea lions start to show so you know that they're sick?
First thing we'll notice is we'll get an increase in number of phone calls, plus we'll be watching and monitoring the levels of toxin that the other organization studies. And they'll show up on the beach and they'll be disoriented. They'll be lethargic. Some of them will be semi-comatose. And in the worst case, they'll have seizures, grand mal seizures, big seizures, and it can also affect their heart. And then many times they'll die right there on the beach pretty rapidly.
So what can we do to help them?
Well, what we do is when we get calls from the public and we know what's happening, we'll go ahead and send a team out and we evaluate that animal. First of all, is it really having problems, or is it maybe just sleeping? Because sometimes after a large meal, they'll sleep. If there is something going on, depending on the level of signs that we're seeing, clinical signs, we may put them under watch for 24 hours because rescuing these animals is stressful as well as just having people interact with them. So we'll go ahead and put them on watch, or if it's very obvious, for example, they're having a seizure, we'll go ahead and rescue them right then and there, bring them back to our hospital, like the veterinary hospital, and where we evaluate them, and then we'll give them treatment, including fluids and anti-seizure medications.
Is there something that's happening this time of year that's causing more of these sea lions to die from this algae bloom? Is it something about the tides or the weather? Like, what is making this spike in deaths happen right now?
Sure. There's a few theories what occurs or why it occurs. We do see it associated with many things. One of them is upwelling. Right now we have a large upwelling occurring that is ocean or water from deep in the ocean because of tides and waves. Start bringing nutrient-rich water to the surface. That feeds the algae like a fertilizer. Likewise, runoff. That is, we had a lot of rain this year. Rain will then flush a lot of nutrients from either agriculture runoff or just natural runoff, nitrogen and phosphorus. That helps plants grow. Algae's a plant, it helps it grow. Another one is a little bit of warmer water temperature. Our water's about 1 or 2 degrees warmer these days, so that could be contributing to as well.
Well, Sam Dover, we appreciate you joining us. You're with the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute. We hope that these sea lions start to get better soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you.